So, guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Bhatia and me as well, we can. I mean, we can answer questions that you might have. So please feel free to ask. As I have explained over the email, so if you have to ask a question, you just have to unmute yourself and speak up. So please feel free. I mean, of course, we'll go one by one. So anybody has any questions?
Hello. Hello.
Prashant
Hello.
speaking from Chennai.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for the session. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Sir, how do, for someone with an IT background, how do we move into this financial engineering career? What kind of courses do we do? Or we do have certifications like the FRM, but as I understand, the basic background is going to be something of mathematics and statistics part, that is, or even programming. These are additional skills that we will have to learn. So, how do we move into these areas?
Okay, very good question. The gentleman was asking, how do we move from IT into financial engineering or quantitative finance? Well, the simple answer is join a good course. If you do a course in financial engineering or quantitative finance with the Indian Institute of Quantitative Finance or with Columbia University or MIT or with the University of California at Berkeley, now that education acts as the bridge between where you are today, which is in IT, and where you want to be, which is in financial engineering. Now, one of the things just keep in mind is that when you do a course in financial engineering from Indian Institute of Quantitative Finance, the cost is in rupees. Whereas if you go to Columbia University and you do a course in quantitative finance over there and at the University of California and Berkeley, the price is in dollars. So there you may be paying $150,000 for the entire course. Now there is a risk that you're taking, and the risk is this, that if Mr. Donald Trump has his way and he doesn't want any Indians or any Mexicans or anybody from anywhere in the world to come inside the country and they turn down your visa, what do you do? You spend $150,000, but you're back in India and you're unable to get the kind of compensation that you deserve for having made that kind of investment. So a good strategy, which I call a low risk strategy, is that you first do a course in India and acquire the skill sets. A lot of times in India, people, when I teach at universities, sometimes in India, I go to give a talk, I notice that everybody is talking about getting a certificate, getting a degree. Getting a degree, getting knowledge, or acquiring knowledge are not exactly the same thing. So if you study at IIQF, you are most likely going to acquire a lot of skill sets that will help you move out of an IT company and to a good bank. Hopefully, one of the second tier or top tier global banks in India. And then from those banks, you can move to Singapore, you can move to Hong Kong, and from New York, Singapore, and Hong Kong, once you are at the international circuit, moving to London or New York is not that difficult. I hope that that is helpful.
Yes, sir. Sir, just one more clarification here.
Sure.
As I understand, IIQF does have a quantitative finance course, but I do also see certain other courses run by someone like Paul Wilmot, like CQF, for instance. I just wanted to know if you have something ready-made, in case you can, brief about the various courses that we can do alongside our
yes.
work.
Now, yes. Okay. Again, a very good question. Stay away from CQF. Okay. I have been invited to the Wilmot CQF seminars in Bombay, to even speak at their conferences organized typically in Bandra Kurla at either the Trident Hotel or Sofitel Hotel. I advise some of my very close friends at Citibank in India not to do their course, but my friends did not listen. They spent about 25,000-30,000 pounds, and today they are sitting. They have not finished their course. They don't have a certificate, and they just could not, really understand what the instructors were telling them or teaching them from London. CQF is not a good course, especially for people from our country. It's way too expensive, but it's just not good. It's not the best investment that you can make of your money and your time. IIQF would be far superior to CQF when you look at the risk and the reward.
Understand, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions from any other, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, this is.
I'm sorry, what's your good name?
So my name is Vijayan.
Okay, hi Vijayan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Basically, sir, I have cleared 5 papers of actuarial science.
Okay, very good.
And I have commerce background.
Okay.
And basically, word engineering is meant for non-medical students who have studied something in IT. Can I also pursue this program?
Absolutely, 100%. But let me tell you one thing. The actuarial science program is not easy. It's a pretty tough program. And if you have finished 5 papers in actuarial sciences, then for me, that is a degree in engineering, because it's a very, very tough program. So,
and what would be the scope for an actuary pursuing this financial engineering program from your institute or from abroad?
See, it will be a very good experience. It will be certainly a very good progression in your career. The reason it will be a very good career progression is that actuarial jobs in India are still pretty much back office jobs. The real modeling work, the actuarial science work is still done in London, not in India.
You are very true, sir.
I know the industry very well. The interesting part is that insurance companies also hire financial engineers, because a lot of these complex products like derivatives, like collateralized debt obligations, all these products are invested in by insurance companies. See, an insurance company takes your premium every month. Well, they don't just go and put it in the bank. They actually invest it in the markets, and they usually invest it in fixed income markets. And fixed income derivatives tend to be the most complex and the most analytically demanding derivative products. So if you have done 5 courses in actuarial sciences, then if you combine that with a program from IIQF, that will be enormously beneficial to you. You will be able to find good jobs in either an insurance company in Singapore or Hong Kong, or you will be able to move to a good quality bank. So I would definitely encourage you, even if you have a commerce background. The fact that you have a commerce background is irrelevant now, because you have demonstrated a strong knowledge of statistics and mathematics by doing 5 papers in actuarial science. Which that's a big achievement, by the way. So
thank you, sir. Can I also work in investment sector or investment banking department of foreign banks, or I would be able to work only in actuarial department only?
No, you will be able to work in many different branches. You will be able
data science.
You will be able to work in data science, but even better than data science, you will be able to work in risk management, because risk management at the end of the day has the same application of probability distributions that you see in actuarial sciences. Operational risk management, credit risk management, market risk management deploys a wide range of probability distributions. So normal distributions, Poisson distributions, a convolution of different types of distributions, that takes place in risk management. So risk management would be a very, very good fit for someone with your actuarial science background.
And one thing I want to ask, which programming language should I learn to pursue this program? I am currently learning R.
Very good. R is a very good starting point. If you have been able to master R, you will have no problems in mastering Python. It's like saying that I run 100 meters like Usain Bolt. Can I run 200 meters? Yeah, of course you can. So
means Python is difficult than R.
Maybe it's a bit different, but I don't really think that. See, once you have understood one programming language, to acquire another programming language is to just familiarize yourself with the syntax. Because programming, the core of programming is the logic. How do you use different types of loops? How do you use different types of algorithms? How do you build it? That's the core. So if you have mastered one programming language, you can master others very easily.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other, ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
Yes, sir. Ravi here from Mumbai. Good morning, sir. Ravi here from Mumbai. Actually, thank you for your session. I just wanted to know one thing that currently I'm pursuing FRM1 training from IIQF. Maybe Nitish can also join in the answer. But wanted to know the progression as to how I will progress from FRM1 training. What should be the next training that I should take in order to move ahead with the financial engineering maybe career opportunities?
Nitish, I think you will be better positioned to answer that question.
Yes, Ravi, again, it depends on what kind of profiles you want to target. If you want to target your finance engineering profiles, then of course you have to do another broad-based course like the Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers. But if you are targeting advanced jobs in the risk management field or like some of the other derivative analytics jobs, then post your FRM or even after your FRM part 1, you can just do the derivative valuation and risk analytics course. FRM teaches you the theory, whereas the derivative valuation and risk analytics will teach you the application areas of that theory in derivatives and risk. The actual implementation part, you can combine both of that to apply to a lot of good profiles.
Okay. So Nitish, looking at the IIQF website, I see a lot of course, so it's actually a bit confusing. I mean, I mean, as a person, I don't have much idea of what course will teach me what. So, do you have any some description of what the course is? And
yeah, of course, every course will have its own description. Yeah, IIQF does, conduct around 4 to 5 programs for various aspects of financial engineering and risk management. And what course you should be doing, as I said, it depends on what kind of profiles you want to target. Okay. So again, if you see the website and if you want me to give a brief description of each of the courses, I'll give, but like maybe too much time we cannot spend here on this question, but I was mentioning earlier, if you want to go into pure financial engineering profile, so you'll have to do the course Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers, which goes into in-depth mathematical modeling, right? So derivation of the mathematical models, then implementation and all that stuff. So which goes deep into stochastic calculus and all that, right? Now, again, if you are somebody who may not have that much of mathematical depth, or by nature you don't want to target those in-depth quant modeling jobs, maybe you want to target a little bit profiles which are more targeted towards risk management and a little less math oriented roles, then other courses you can do is like a certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management, where like mathematics is, you can say, to the FRM level. All right, but the good thing about that course is it teaches both the theory plus the practical model building. Okay, it might not go into in-depth mathematics, but it still goes into the application side. So how you value a derivative instrument in Excel, VBA and Python, right? How you build risk models in Excel, VBA and Python. So all these things are taught from a practical point of view. Now said that, that certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management it's actually divided into two parts. Okay. So what we have done is the first 2.5 months teaches you the basics. Basics would mean advanced quants, right? So basically advanced statistics, econometrics, probability, time series analysis, and like some of the mathematics required for understanding derivatives, right? And then we go into advanced financial markets and products. So for those like you who are already doing FRM level 1, or by your job or by your degree, you have learned this statistics, econometrics, probability, basic mathematics, and all this stuff, and as well as like the financial markets and products knowledge, if you already have, then of course you don't need to repeat this basic stuff, right? So then you can skip the first 2.5 months and you can directly start from the advanced part, which is the advanced 3.5 months where the actual application areas are taught. So in that case, if you are only doing the advanced part, it is called a certificate program in derivative valuation and risk analytics. If you are doing the entire 6 months course, then it is called a certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management. So it depends on your background in that case, right?
Okay.
And then there are other courses on algorithmic trading, okay, which is a separate field. So if you are somebody who wants to apply all these things to trading, right, then algorithmic trading would be another course which you can see and look at.
Okay, Nitish.
So yeah,
Thank you.
The 4 courses or 5 courses that are there, they are there for very specific reasons.
Yeah. Because a lot of time things do appear overlapping each other, so can't make out which course should be the best.
There would be commonality, because at the end of the day, basics remain same, right? But the application area is different, and each course is taught depending on the application area that you want to target.
Okay, Nitish. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I have a question. This is Krishnan from Bangalore. Now, see, I have degree in mathematics, and I'm from the IT background. I also did an advanced diploma in management studies from Singapore. Now, my core is only IT, more on the pre-sales. Now, and as you can see, I have finished my degree decades ago. The calculus and all the parts are pretty rusty. So that's the primer course. I've gone through the brochure. Will the primer course alone help in catching up with the requisites for doing this AFME?
Okay, so that yes. So Krishnan, just to understand your question again better, right? So if I just to see that if I've not missed any points. So you want to understand whether the primers that are there in the Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers course, would that help you in learning the main course? Is that the question in brief?
That's right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that is how the primers are designed, right? So okay, so just to go one step back, if you see the Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers course, okay, so we have 4 primers, one on mathematics, one on statistics, one on finance, and the other on programming, okay. And since these 4 areas would be applied quite in depth during the course, so we expect the candidates to have background in all these 4 areas, the basics at least, right? And if somebody is again, depending on your background, you would need to do a brush up from the right primer. Of course, you can, once you register for the course, you would get access to all the 4 primers. So if you have time and if you can do, you can brush up using all the 4 primers, or of course you can selectively do the primers where you think your background is a little weak, or like you think a little bit brush up is needed, maybe because you have done something a long time back, right? So yes, the primers are a good starting point, and they give you a background knowledge, or in the sense the things that you need to know, or the basics that you need to know to understand the later part of the main course.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Nitish.
All right.
Yeah, I have one more question on the languages. I saw multiple languages on the C++, Python, the R, MATLAB. So, which is the language that will be, that we should focus? Is it R, or is it all of these, or one of these, or what is it? Because each language has its own flavor.
So, Mr. Bhatia, would you like to answer briefly on that? And if do you want me to add on that, or do you want me to answer that?
See, amongst the programming languages, the simplest one to learn or to pick up is Visual Basic in Excel. That's the easiest one to pick up, and then you can move to languages like R and Python. That should be sufficient to get started. R would be a good starting point.
Okay, but the course per se would be focusing on all of this or any particular language. Is it R or Python? So,
okay. See, there will be
Krishna,
different modules. Different.
Sorry. So, can I answer that?
Yeah, please.
So, Krishnan, yeah, as Mr. Bhatia pointed out, right? So, there are multiple languages that are used, but of course, in one course you cannot learn everything, right? So, the idea is to go for a language which is relatively easy to understand and which has gained acceptance also, right? So R is one good language, definitely, as Mr. Bhatia has mentioned, but again, R has a few limitations as well. Okay, and Python in comparison is a more complete language as far as I understand, or rather we understand. Okay, and Python what has happened is, again, R is like a very good language for doing just statistical analysis, but when it comes to financial engineering, Python is gaining a little bit more prominence in the industry, being a more complete languages, and another aspect is having more well-developed libraries already built in. Okay, so as a starting point, either R or Python is good enough, right? But Python has a slight edge, and that is why we have started actually applying more of Python in our courses. And this particular program, Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers, currently the implementation is entirely taught in Python.
okay, clear.
But once you learn implementation in one language, as Mr. Bhatia was explaining, right? So key is to, if you're a non-programmer, or even if you do programming, right? And I mean, if once you know the implementation in one language, right? And if you know the other language, you can always do that. See, there's no denying the fact that the highest places, right? C++ is still used, but again, learning implementation in C++ is, or like C is not everybody's cup of tea, right? And if somebody is a good enough programmer, then I mean, if he has learned in Python, he can always convert that into C codes or C++ codes, right? On the other hand, if programming is weak for somebody, he's just started out to learn, then he will never be able to start with learning implementation in C or C++, right? In that case, Python is very helpful. So it's actually good for both kind of audience. I mean, whether you are an extreme knowledgeable programmer or you're starting out with programming, right? So that is why this is like what you can say is the consensus language where we arrived, and at this point the best available one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And in the Proctored exam, do we use the calculator or Excel or these tools, or is it all a multiple MCQ type of questions? Hello, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah. The voice was okay, but somehow actually the voice got a little muffled. I could not hear the question.
Yeah. See, in the Proctored exam, are the questions MCQ based, or do we need to do some programming where we can use Excel or R and other tools? How does the exam pattern?
Yeah, sure. So again, the evaluation actually, if you see for the Applied Mathematical Finance for Engineers, is actually two things. One is the project or the assignments that you get at the end of the course. Okay, so these projects and assignments would require you to build practical models based on what you learned during the course, right? So that is the one thing. And the second, when you talk about the exam, actually it's an open book exam, and it would be proctored and monitored online, right? So it can be a combination of both MCQs as well as what do you call broad questions as well. Okay, so it's not a one single format. There would be a mix of both kind of questions. The key is to basically go through the program lectures very keenly and practice. If you do that, you should be able to solve that exam questions as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hello.
Yes, any other question?
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Rajat. Just a quick question I wanted to ask you is that what do you think the best course of action for a fresher to enter into this industry, investment banking industry, uh, while having knowledge in engineering and also a master's degree in quantitative finance?
Okay, Akhil, Nilesh, can you just repeat the question because I didn't understand it very well. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah. So, what do you think the best course of action for a fresher to land into a fresher position
Is your
with
question
engineering?
like what courses you should do to get into investment
No,
banking? Is that the question?
no. Like, how do I start looking for a job in this industry? Like, I finished my
Your voice is actually echoing. So I think you have typed a question in the chat window as well. If you permit, let me read it out. And
yeah. There's some problem with my microphone. I'm sorry.
okay. So I'll read out the question that you have mentioned in the chat window. Actually, there are a couple of more questions, and so this would be the last 2-3 questions because it's already almost 5 past 12, right? So we'll take 2 to 3 questions, and then we'll wrap up by maybe in another 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So Akhil, your question, I guess, is what would you think a good course of action for a fresher with engineering, mechanical, and quantitative finance MSc in finding a job? I'm still not very sure of the question. Mr. Bhatia, did you get the gist of the question?
You see, if you just have an engineering degree and you're looking for your first job, landing a job in investment bank is going to be extremely difficult. So if you're looking to just get started in your first job, and if you're an engineer, very often the IT companies is where you start. And then you start acquiring skills in financial markets, in trading, in developing trading strategies, in developing financial models. You can do a course with IIQF that will add to your existing engineering degree, and then you can progress to an investment bank. Hello?
It's Akhil. Do you get your answer?
Yes, Vinay, for a commerce background student, I think doing one of the programs in quantitative finance at IIQF would be a great step, but you will have to start with some of the more basic level courses first, and as you build up your skills, then you can go to the more advanced level.
Yes, Vinay. So we do have courses for people from commerce background also who want to join this industry, as I was explaining a while earlier. We can, or rather, you can look at the course certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management. There, the maths is a little tailored so that even finance guys can do and enter into this field. If you want, we can discuss that in more detail on a personal phone call. Of course, it would be challenging, no doubt, because even tailored mathematics would mean good amount of mathematics and statistics because this field demands that, right? So rather than challenging, IQF has a way of teaching things in a very easy and lucid way. The main challenge is a lot of commerce guys are a little, if I may use that word, a little afraid of mathematics statistics. If you are not someone who is very afraid of mathematics statistics, if you have an open mind, you have a good chance of picking it up because we do teach you in a way where like you should understand. Mr. Bhatia, a couple of more chats actually, if you can take up, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, that's fine.
So one was from Swati. So she said that, like, is it better to go for part-time courses or full-time courses if currently working in IT? Now, how beneficial are CFA and FRM programs?
No, CFA and FRM programs are also quite good programs. In fact, IIQF conducts classes for both CFA and FRM as well.
No, just to correct, we do only for FRM actually. CFA we have
Oh,
stopped.
only FRM? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So my, now whether you should do part-time or you should do full-time, that really depends upon your personal situation, especially your financial situation. If you have the luxury of doing a full-time program, that'll be the best. But if you can't do a full-time program, then you do a program in the evenings or on the weekends. That will also be fine. The important thing is to acquire the skill sets. Now you could actually acquire some skill sets even by yourself without doing any program. But doing one of the IIQF courses in a structured manner will definitely help you in acquiring the right skill sets very fast and more effectively.
Right. And last question would be from Zayed. He has put a question going back. So Zayed, if you're there, just to answer your question. He has asked, how can a person with 0 to 1 year experience with a degree in risk can start off? So first is Zayed, you have to give Mr. Bhatia a little bit idea about your background. So Zayed, if you're there, you can unmute and speak up. Zayed, you there? Hi Zayed, are you there? So Zayed actually has left. So maybe I'll discuss with him later on that question. I'll give him a call and answer that. Since he's not there, so no point answering this question.
Okay, Harsh, if you are pursuing the CFA, that's very good. But remember that CFA and financial engineering are quite different. In the CFA program, you're basically learning to become a research analyst or an equity analyst. That's what the CFA prepares you for. But if you have a CFA degree, that's wonderful. You can combine that with a program in quantitative finance or financial engineering, and it will be a very wonderful combination. So I would encourage you to do both of them, both CFA as well as a program in quantitative finance. Are you talking about the World Quant University of Igor Tuchinski?
Yes.
Okay. See, I was asked to teach the World Quant University, but there is a bit of a not so ethical stuff going on over there. They're trying to offer that degree from the World Quant University for almost free. It's actually free, but since they are not paying any money to instructors either, they're not able to get any good instructors. So Igor Tuchinski is a billionaire. He wants to run this charity, but he wants other people who are not billionaires to do it for him for free. So I actually turned down that opportunity. So I have no idea as to who are the instructors over there or what is their quality. I very much doubt if any good instructors are going to come to the World Quant University unless they actually pay market level compensation to the instructors.
Okay.
Okay, is that it, Nitish?
Yes, I will just briefly answer one question from Swati and then we'll wrap it up. Krishnan, unfortunately we have run out of time. So your question, if you can call me, I'll be happy to discuss in detail. But briefly to answer Swati, the structure of these programs. Yes, Vinay. If you have received my emails, my contact details are already there, but I'll mention over the chat window here as well. Swati, for the certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management, it is 90,000. Certificate program in applied mathematical finance for engineers, it is 1,55,000. For the postgraduate program in algorithmic trading, it is 85,000. And please feel free to call me. My number I am giving in the chat window. This is my email ID which I am mentioning now. These all contact details are already there in the emails that you have received. But I'll be happy to answer any more questions or have further discussions in detail with any of you on our courses or in general career opportunities and other things as well. If you have other questions also, please feel free to ask me over call. But now we're running a little out of time, so we'll wrap up the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhatia, for your time. Thank you guys for attending the session. Look forward to hear from you if you have any other questions. Thank you again, Mr. Bhatia.
Okay, thank you very much.